Hello and welcome to another plan with me with Oops-a-Daisy. I'm Jo and today I'm going to be setting up my January 2024 bullet journal spreads, and I'm going to be using some supplies from my recent subscription boxes. So, spoiler alert, if you haven't received the Become quarterly box or the Tsuru monthly box and you don't want to see what's included, then stop your video player now. Before putting pen to paper to my spreads, I've used the theme planner cards that are included within our quarterly subscription to plan out what supplies I will use and what order my pages will fall. Just as a little recap, since you last saw my journal, I've added a couple of extra pages in the form of a social media tracker. So after my word of the year and my goal tracking spreads, I've added this Keep It Social Dutch door, which has got space to record my Facebook, YouTube, Instagram and TikTok followers. I'm now going to go in and prep my cover page for my January 2024 spreads. My theme for this month is going to be origami, and I'll be using some of the origami paper that was included in our Tsuru monthly subscription box. I've taken a piece of origami paper, divided it into four so it was a smaller square, and folded it into the shapes that make up the word Jan, which represents January. I'm then tearing a strip of our blue dot grid paper that coordinates with the monthly box themes and adding it across the page as a background for these origami letters. In order to make my origami heading, I didn't actually follow instructions. I just folded the paper until it kind of represented the letter I was trying to form. But if you're stuck for inspiration, there are a ton of step-by-step tutorials on YouTube or on the internet as a whole. So just Google what you want to create on your cover page and you will very quickly find some instructions to follow. I've decided to leave my cover page pretty minimalist this month, so it's just going to say Jan in the origami letters, but you can also use it to capture important dates for the month ahead, an overview of the calendar. It's really up to you what function you want your cover page to serve. I'm adhering those letters to the page with my dot glue roller, and with that done, I'm ready to go ahead and set up the rest of my monthly spread. Before I continue with the setup, I wanted to take a moment to invite you all to join our Journal with Oops-a-Daisy programme. We've built together a step-by-step guide for setting up your perfect journal, with guidance in the form of blog posts, step-by-step videos and digital downloads. In order to join, all that we ask is you make a small donation to our chosen charity, St Clair Hospice. There's no minimum donation, just give what you can afford. To find out more, head to the link on the screen. With the ad break over, it's time to get busy setting up my monthly spread. This month my setup will be a waterfall Dutch door style, which means I'll be removing a strip from the edge of each of the pages throughout the setup, with the strip getting gradually wider each time. This means that once it's complete, all of the page edges will be visible from the first double page spread. Before going in with the scissors, I've penciled in where I want these cuts to fall and what will be on each page. The distance between each page edge will be approximately 15mm, the width of a standard washi tape, so that this could be used to decorate the waterfall effect. I'm using the washi tape from within our Become quarterly subscription box, which is this multicoloured pattern, to decorate right up to the page edge, and I'll be repeating this on every single page throughout the monthly setup. As you can see, I'm also using my scissors just to trim the washi tape to echo the curved page edge within my journal. Each of these double page spreads will have a different function within the setup. What you choose to include within your monthly setup really depends on how you intend to use your journal, which is something we discuss in more detail throughout the course of the Journal with Oops-a-Daisy programme. In my setup, I'll be including a monthly overview, a goals page and a habit tracker, specifically with my Year in Pixels 1 month at a time challenge in mind. You can learn all about this challenge by viewing last week's YouTube video that I'll link above. I will also have a master to-do list, something that has become an essential part of my journaling process. I'll discuss this more later in the video. Alongside the Become washi tape, I'm adding a strip of our coordinating skinny blue washi, And I'm hoping that by doing this with every page edge, it's really going to highlight the waterfall effect. I'm repeating the Become washi tape and the skinny blue washi tape on the reverse side of each of the cut edges as well. So each double page spread will be framed each side with a double washi tape strip. My plan for the decoration of this setup was actually to keep it pretty minimal, with the waterfall Dutch door itself forming the majority of the kind of interest to the page. I'll be adding a header to each page using a font stencil and some decorative elements from our monthly subscription box, Tsuru. Tsuru actually means paper crane, which is perfect for my origami theme. Something we've changed within our subscriptions for Q1 of 2024 is to make our quarterly box and our monthly boxes work well together. So we've got a quarterly colour scheme, and that's where the colours for this monthly setup are actually coming. By having a quarterly colour scheme, it means that all of your supplies will work better together, and you can see that in action here because I've used supplies from both the quarterly box and the monthly box to create this setup. One of the reasons that I wanted to do a waterfall page edge was because I thought by having the cuts and the pages falling the way they are, it would give the effect of kind of page folding, so really work well with my origami theme for the month. I'm now using my corner cutter just to round off the corners of the cut pages so that they echo the pages in my wider journal. I am now cutting a much wider strip from the edge of the page, and the idea will be that this will create a little peekaboo strip where I can add the title January 2024. This title will then be visible on the first two double page spreads of the setup. All I've got left to do before I can start decorating is just to add a bit more washi tape to the bare page edges that I've just created, not forgetting my skinny blue washi tape as well. And it will also go onto the reverse of this strip too, and it creates like a little flip out dashboard right in the middle of the very first monthly page, which will be where I put my monthly overview. How you set up your monthly overview is really down to personal taste. There are two main styles that are used within the context of a bullet journal. The traditional monthly overview would be a vertical calendar, so you would create a column of numbers, 1 to 30 or 1 to 31, depending on how many days are in the month. And then next to that, you would have a column where you have space to write appointments, events, that kind of thing that are going on throughout the monthly period, so that you can easily see when you have appointments, when you have events that you need to remember. A more visual way of laying out your month is to use a more traditional calendar overview. So you would have a box for each day of the month laid out in rows of 7 to represent the days in the week. That generally would go over a double page spread, but of course you can shrink it down and just have a monthly overview on a single page. And that's something that I tend to use quite a lot in my journal as well. In this setup, I'll be using the vertical calendar, and I will be using our vertical numbers and vertical day washi tape in order to set it up really quickly. The first thing I'm going to do is add in the monthly title to this little peekaboo space. So using our A5 font stencil that came within the Become subscription box, I'm going to add the title January 2024. I'm going to use it just an outline of black, and I'm not going to colour the inside of the lettering just because I quite like the way that that looks with this font. So you will also find within our monthly font stencils that there are a row of holes at the bottom of each of our fonts, and they are the middles to each of the letters that have cut out middles. So for the uppercase font, for example, A, B and D all have centres. So you'll find on the row along the bottom of the font stencil the middles for each one of those letters. So hopefully you'll see what I'm doing here. I'm just lining it up with the dot grid spaces so that it falls within the centre of this peekaboo space. A top tip is to always start with the middle letter in the text that you're writing. So I've counted out how many letters fall in January 2024, also including the space between the end of the word January and the beginning of 2024 as a letter. And then going in with the middle letter, which is R. By doing that, I'm making sure that it's going to fall centrally within the space that I'm adding the header to. You can, of course, also write this out in pencil first, just to double check that you're not going to end up with a really wonky, lopsided title, which of course is possible if your letters aren't all the same width in size. But luckily this font is pretty symmetrical. Each letter fills up about the same amount of space. So it's a really nice font, an easy one to start with if you're just starting to use font stencils in your journal. So my little peekaboo title has been added. I'm now going to go through and start adding the remainder of the titles to my page. So I did forget one washi tape strip. I'm going to quickly add that in there. This is a lot of washi, guys, but luckily within our reel of washi there is 10 meters of the design, so there's plenty for many more setups to come. But I think adding this washi tape in the way that I have with the Waterfall Dutch door, it just really brings the whole thing to life. And this is what I was talking about in terms of not really needing much more additional decoration, because the Waterfall Dutch door is really doing everything we need there. So I'm going in and I'm adding my uppercase and lowercase letters, again leaving the middle of the letter uncoloured, so it's just the outline, the black outline. I'm using a 04 Pigma Micron pen in order to do this, which is my favourite pen to use with our stencils. And I will list all of the supplies used within this setup in the description below the video. Now, with the structure of the spread complete, it's time for me to start putting in some functional elements. I'm starting with my monthly setup, and I'll be creating that using my favourite washi tape, which is our vertical days and dates. This little washi tape is actually one of the reasons why lots of new customers have found us in the last 6 months. It did go TikTok viral a couple of times, which is really cool, and we've had to restock it. It's in stock at the moment, guys, be quick. And the cool thing about this washi tape is not only that it makes monthly setup really quick, but also that it aligns perfectly with a 5mm dot grid. So some genius design work from Kate, aka Snail Scribbles, has meant that basically you run a strip of it down the side of your page and you have a monthly spread done in about 30 seconds. I'm just adding some horizontal lines underneath each Sunday just to mark out where each week ends for me, and I'm splitting the whole thing down the middle so that I've got a column for work and a column for personal events, so I can easily see whether I'm busy for work or whether I'm busy in my personal life. So that's the monthly spread done. The next thing that I'm going to do is go in and create a habit tracker, and to do this I'm using, again, a very cool design. This one was my idea, from the Become box, which is our Small Steps to Big Change habit tracker pad. So each leaf on this habit tracker pad is actually double-sided, with the front side being where you can add in what month it is, what your focus is, and what the colour key is. And on the reverse side of the page, you've got all the rooms to track up to 10 habits. So the idea is you take out a leaf, it's 170 GSM, so it's nice thick paper, and you can use it as like a fold out, a tip in your journal, or if you wanted to you could adhere it straight to the page and add it in both sides to a double page spread. It does fit in an A5 journal as well as a B5, mine is B5, and I'm just using more of the washi tape to adhere it to the spread. And what it'll be is that when I want to track my habits, I can just fold it out and there's your habit tracker done. You don't have to write anything, you don't have to draw any boxes, it's done and dusted. And underneath that, I'm just going to add another header using that same Become font, and I'm just writing habits. And that's that bit of the spread done, really. It's really quick and easy. Really, this is what we mean about making our subscription box stationery go further, make it super functional so that you can easily set up your spreads and spend time decorating or doing the fun bits that you want to be doing and not drawing a million boxes. What I am going to add underneath this fold out habit tracker is a space for me to include further details of what habit I am tracking for the month as part of my Year in Pixels 1 month at a time challenge. Now for this challenge, I'm basically picking one specific habit per month that is going to align with my word of the year, which is unplugged. I think my challenge habit for January is going to be my morning routine. So I'm adding a space where I can list out what that morning routine should look like, and also add in why I want to achieve that and how it will align with my unplugged word of the year goal. So I'm just adding a couple of little decorative boxes. I'll add some headers into those, and it just gives me a space to write a little bit more detail. And I'm going to create something like this for every month of the year throughout 2024. So while I add in the remainder of my page headings throughout this monthly spread, I wanted to take a quick moment to talk about font stencils and how to get the most out of them. They are one of our most popular stencil types at Upsadaisy. I think because creating pretty heading on your page makes such a difference to how the overall page looks. So we have a few different font stencils styles that you can choose from. Our A5 font stencil, which is what I'm using now, we've got over 50 fonts available. We have some script fonts, which are a little bit more tricky to use, and we do have some videos within the YouTube channel of how to get the most out of your script fonts. We have some more playful fonts, and those are the ones that I think for beginners I would definitely opt for, the ones where the centers of the letters aren't exactly placed. So if you're not exact about how you're doing your stenciling, it doesn't affect how it looks. Something like the Become font that I've got in front of us now, it's quite important that you align the middles of those letters perfectly, because each of the stems of the letters should be exactly the same in width. So if you offset those middles, then it isn't going to look right for you, which is why a font like Cherry, Hobo, Blossom, they're all quite good fonts to choose for beginners, because they really are fail proof. It doesn't matter if you align them perfectly, it doesn't matter if the letters are spaced perfectly, it all adds to like the fun look of the stencil. So if you're a beginner and just starting out, then they are definitely the fonts that I would advise. We also have a range of pocket fonts which are half the size of this, and the letters are approximately 1 to 1.5 centimeters in height, whereas our standard fonts are around 2 centimeters in height, and that difference in size makes a massive difference to how they look on your page, but also how detailed the font can be. And we also have some XL fonts which are 5 centimeters in size, which is what I've used for my word of the year spread and my 24 in 24 spread. So really chunky fonts that allow you to create big center points to your page. So depending on what you're looking for, we have a whole range of font stencils available. I've just realised that I sound a lot like a shopping channel, and I wasn't meaning to. I was meaning to inform you about our stencils. But if you'd like to have a look, there are a ton on the website, and there's also a ton of videos on our YouTube channel that allow you to see how to get the best out of them. So I'm adding my headers to each one of the pages here, and once I've done that, I'm going to go in and start decorating with some of the origami paper and also some stickers. So these are all taken from the Tsuru monthly subscription box. So we've got some little stickers which have little origami cranes on, and also the origami paper itself is great to add a decorative element to your page. Now, while I have been setting this up, I've realised that the first page of the cover page of the monthly setup actually ended up looking a bit bare compared to the rest of the pages, and it didn't have any of the washi tape which become the feature of the entire setup. So I've gone back to the cover page and I'm adding a strip of the Become washi and a strip of the Skinny Blue washi, just to make it all tie in together, which actually leaves me to a top tip for journal setup. And this is something I should do and I never remember to do. I would, if you're not sure about your cover page, set up your monthly spread first and go back and add in the cover page afterwards, because it's really easy to create a spread and end up with your cover page that looks like it's completely disjointed from what you've created, which is, if I'm honest, kind of what I ended up doing here. So do your spread first, go back and add in the cover page afterwards, and then you can get really decorative once you've got a feel for how the theme is going to look once it's all pulled together. So as I said, the last thing I'm going to do is go through and add some of the origami paper to the spread. So this is a really cute pink and red circle pattern, and I'm also adding the little stickers. This one says Dream Big, and an origami crane above it just as a little bit of decoration. Not much is needed because of all the washi tape and the waterfall, but it's very cute. And as you can see, I decided to reposition this sticker, so I've grabbed my tweezers and I'm just moving it over. I'm going to add the same again on the top of this goals page, a kind of diagonal strip of the origami paper, and I end up going top left corner with it, and rather than doing a triangle like I have on the previous page, I actually just do a strip across. I did play with it being in the bottom right corner, but I decided that I preferred it top left, and I'm gonna again add a little strip of the origami paper and then add the origami crane over the top just to reflect that decoration throughout the whole spread. I end up including a couple of origami cranes here that look like they're flying across the page, which is really cute. And I'm going to do the same again on my Get It Done page, again adding in a corner of the origami paper and a quote and another crane, and then finally a strip across the middle of my brain dump page. So the difference between my Get It Done and my brain dump page, the Get It Done page is going to be my master to-do list, and that's where I migrate all of my tasks from any previous spreads, and actually be a previous journal, over into my monthly master to-do list. And then the brain dump page will be somewhere for me to scribble, doodle, add in any thoughts that I've had. Basically, it's like a jotter pad within the monthly spread. Anything that I need to remember for later, kind of like a later base. It can be whatever I need it to be within the monthly setup. Now, before we go ahead and take a look at the finished journal setup for 2024, I wanted to thank you all for joining us on the Oops A Daisy YouTube channel, and just give you a quick reminder that if you have enjoyed this setup, please hit subscribe. It really helps the channel and we'd be forever grateful. And we'll be creating lots of new content in 2024 that we know you won't want to miss. It's now time to take a look at my finished journal setup for 2024. If you've missed any of the videos, I have created a playlist of the entire journal setup, which I will link above. We've got our future log. I've got a word of the year themed spread. We've got some challenges in the form of the 24 in 24 cinema spread, and also my year in pixels 1 month at a time. You can have a closer look at my social media trackers that I completed after last week's video. And then finally, we've got the monthly spread for January 2024. I'm really pleased with how this journal setup has turned out. I think it's really bright and colourful. I love the clashing colours. They are definitely reflective of my personal kind of style. I have left a space to add in a year at a glance, which I will be doing at some point after this video has been filmed. And I'll also be adding my weekly spreads for January 2024. So if you would like to see the setup for those, make sure you click subscribe, because there'll be a video coming very soon to the channel. Thank you all for planning with me today. I hope you join us again very, very soon. Until then, take care.